A very warm morning to one and all present here. Respected Principal Dr. Khyrunnisa A, our esteemed Chief Guest, Ms. Khyrunnisa A, Dr. Sonia J. Nair, the Head of the Department of English, teachers and friends. We are gathered here today to listen to and interact with the award-winning writer of children's fiction and the creator of the popular comic character Butterfingers. Let me welcome you all to the inauguration of the Literary and Debating Association of All Saints College, Toronto. Ms. Khyrunnisa A has penned many works of fiction that exude sheer delight. As they say, the happiest people are the ones who make others happy. Her first book for adults is tongue-in-cheek, The Funny Side of Life, which is available at the store outside. In fact, today may be our last opportunity to grab ourselves copies of tongue-in-cheek and the crocodile who ate butter chicken for breakfast, for as ma'am herself likes to put it, the crocodile will soon stop eating butter chicken for breakfast. I am also delighted to inform you that we will be doing readings of some of her works. Without further ado, let me welcome Ms. Khyrunnisa A, Assistant Professor, Department of English, who is in charge of the association, for the welcome address.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Welcoming Khyrunnisa ma'am to All Saints College is like welcoming Shakespeare to the Globe Theatre. She is one of the people who actually owned this place and continues to do so. This place is still known by her name. She is one of the people by whose names this place is still known. She's taught here for many years. She's taught a lot of our teachers in our department and in this college. And even the principal, I guess. She's taught our principal also. So all these teachers are still so happy to meet her, which tells us about her commitment. And you will get to hear her sense of humor. Okay? And when you read her books, it is these qualities that are manifested itself in her books, and that's why these books are the ultimate favorite of a lot of people around the world. When you go, in the sense that she has even received letters of appreciation from cultural icons like Mansoor Ali Khan Patodi. You might know him as Saif Ali Khan's father. Cricketers cricketer V.S. Lakshman and MP Shashi Tharoor. And you should go for book release functions when it happens next. Those are events in themselves, in the sense you will get to see fans queuing up in front of the book stall to get their hands on the latest copies of her books. Okay? And I've seen readers reading the books, just opening and devouring the books the moment they can get the books back from her hands after she signs it. They'll just be sitting there and reading it while their parents are dragging them back to the car. Okay? So, therefore, in these times when we are actually coping with the pandemic, and we are doing so by making dalgona coffee, baking cakes, and being glued to the mobile phones, it's time that we reintroduce reading into our lives, the craft, the art, the delight of reading. And I don't think there's a better person than Khyrunnisa ma'am to reintroduce us back into that art. Okay? And her latest books, The Tongue-in-Cheek and Crocodile Who Ate Butter Chicken for Breakfast, those are precious than the rest, I would say, because those two books are soon going out of print. Definitely not for their fault, but they are going out of print. So, what we can do is add some sunshine to our lives by going and buying those books, which are right outside this hall. Sunshine is the color of sunshine, is also incidentally the color of her book, Tongue-in-Cheek.
Yes.
So, she was also in charge of the Quiz Club of this college for as long as she's worked here. And I would like to welcome her to this meeting, and I am grateful that she came to inaugurate the Literary and Debating Association. So I welcome you, ma'am. I welcome our HOD Sonia J. Nair, all the other teachers and friends.
house at Butterfingers, I was in 7th or 8th grade. And I had this notorious habit of getting distracted by watching the television every Sunday because our cousins would gather at our grandma's place at Sundays. I would just get distracted by television and I would drop the dainty glass teacups that our grandma reserves especially for Sundays. This kind of earned me a notorious reputation of the glass breaker of the family, and there are a lot of feminist stuff associated with breaking glass for some reason. And I remember that the sheer relatability of the blurb of Butterfingers when my mom gave it to me when I was 8 or 7. The blurb goes, "Watch out, with Butterfingers around, nothing and no one is safe." That is what drew me to it. Khyrunnisa Ma'am's ability to make witty observations about almost everything around her translates into her multi-layered and fun works. Ma'am, we're truly honored to have you here today. Let me welcome you to give the inaugural address.
First, I'll remove my disguise. Then I'll don another disguise. Better to see you with. So it's a great joy for me to come back to my familiar environment. Thank you very much, Rima, for your warm words of welcome, for being Butterfingers. So far, you have not done anything, you have not dropped anything. Thank you for those overwhelming words of welcome. I thought you were saying you're going to welcome her like a prodigal son, but she chose something more diplomatic. And more fatted calf is a problem. Yeah, so that is, so thank you. I have nice, in fact, as Kuku was saying, you can hear me. Because I have taken classes here, gallery classes, where combined classes, India, where everything, where there were botany students, math students, physics students, and chemistry students. And can't hear? I feel like I'm going to take another class because I have my students sitting here. Yeah, so some yeah, okay. Yeah. Sonia. Yeah. Kuku didn't. She is the one who got away. And Rishmi, the principal, your principal, she was also my student. So I think you must be wondering, okay, she belongs to the Jurassic age. You're almost right. I was teaching here for almost 30 years. And before that, I had a stint in the bank. So you can tot up all the, I'm sure some of you must be calculating, okay, 30 years. 2 years in the bank, 1.5 years, I taught in Holy Angels. Then we'll find out when I retired and you will arrive at my age. So since we are women, I won't openly tell you my age, you can calculate it. Okay, so I'm fine with it. And I'm extremely happy to come back to my college. It's been a few years. I saw a lot of changes. There were all those squares on the corridor walls, which were not there. The tiles. The office room is a little different. Many changes. But the college, the core, I hope remains the same. What the values that the college stands for, the importance we gave to certain things, I hope all that remains. So I enjoyed teaching, and the last 2-3 years of my career, semester system started. And when that started, I was a little disillusioned because everything changed. So we had the annual system. I'm sure you must be aware of the annual system where you have the public exam at the end of the year. And it gave us a lot of time. And we used to have exams, which would be a model exam, an apology of an Onam exam, and then the public exam. And the children, students, and we could actually do a lot with the students. And children loved the classes in the sense that they were in love with literature. We could do a lot to instill that love for literature. And then the semester system came when everything became so rushed. You just trying to finish portions. Then you have assignments, then you have seminars, you have test papers, and we were forever doing clinical work, writing these mark lists, sending them to the university. Then university will send love letters saying we don't haven't got the mark list, please send them again, and then we send them again, and it goes on. And I realized, okay, looks like it's time to go. And I went. So that was, but I really enjoyed my career as a teacher. When I taught in Holy Angels, that is when I realized that this is my vocation. Because the first batch, it was Holy Angels ICSE, I was teaching the 9th and the 10th students. They were so good. I seriously don't think I have come across any class after that where all the students are good. Good, I don't mean that good and bad good. I mean good students. And at the same time, they were playful, it was a nice blend of everything, every one of them. Academically, the worst would get, say, 50%. And it spoiled me. And I also realized I was getting a lot of joy out of teaching. And then I worked in All Saints for a very brief period, 1.5 months, I think. And I was also writing these tests, and I got this Punjab National Bank officer's job, and I went for training 2 years, and then I realized, okay, this is not for me. I was craving to get back to teaching. Somehow I realized, of course I'm very grateful to the bank because I saw the whole of India at bank's expense. I met a lot of nice people. I understood how the bank works. I was not planning any bank robbery, but it helped me a lot to understand what it was all about. So for that I'm very grateful. But after that, there was PG. Our college had applied for PG, so they needed more teachers, and I applied, and I came back. And then there was no switching of professions, and I truly, thoroughly enjoyed classes. And these are, like Sonia was my student, Sapna was my student, Selina, no, why am I calling you Cynthia? I knew it begins with a C, and I was trying to get the rest of it. Yes, Selina James, correct? I had to redeem myself. So that is, all of them. Divya was a science student, Sapna was a science student, but teaching science students was wonderful actually. In fact, my literature students would say, you like the science students better. I said, look, there is no such thing like that. Similarly, they come and accuse me, your books are mostly about boys, you like boys better. I said, look, it's not like that. I was cricket based. So somehow I thought a boys' school would be the ideal surrounding. And then I have been trying desperately to get girls in. And then I have to spend half my life, justifying why I did this, why I didn't do this, what works, what doesn't work, and so on. So that is how it was. And and as she said, we used to have these literary and debating associations. In fact, when Sonia asked me to come today for this, I asked her whether literary and debate is this the inauguration or the valedictory, because it is March. But then we are living in very strange times, and I'm happy that all of you are physically able to come. So if there's this kind of delay, it is fine. At least you are having this functioning literary and debating association. We have functioning clubs. We have clubs which function only twice a year. There's an inauguration, there's a huge gap, and then there's a valedictory. And literary and debating we used to have, and there are some science nature club. We used to meet regularly. My quiz club, my passion. I had quiz club happening every week. I loved it so much, I used to be the first one there. And the other students will come later. But we somehow kept it going. And thank you, Sapna, you're keeping it going, I think. Yeah, thank you very much. I don't want that. It is significantly named Sixth Sense. So it is doing fine. So that was what was happening when I was teaching. And we all loved literature. And Sonia she used to do a lot of things. Just a good student, she was a good mimic, do you know that?
Yes.
One day she must do, there must be a one-man show. As part of literary and debating association, we should have an entertaining time with given department. Everything, speeches, that you name it, she will do that, and then she will get that youth festival award and so that was what was happening. And after that I left college, but continued. I have fond memories. All my memories are lovely. So I'm happy I retired when I did, because these memories make me believe that the college was a lovely place. I should use the past tense. It is a lovely place. I had a wonderful time. Thanks to the management, the students, my colleagues, all contributed to this. But while I was teaching, I was quietly writing. It was just one of those things. Alright? In fact, I have to tell people, one of the questions they ask me is, when did you want to become a writer? Did you always want to become a writer? Was it your ambition to become a writer? And I had to tell them, no, it wasn't. I had other ambitions. I wanted to become an engine driver, a fireman, I wanted to become a gardener, I wanted to become a lot of things. Teaching was one of them, but never a writer. But I always loved writing. Writing in the sense, at creative writing classes, composition classes, I used to enjoy it. That was there, but not wanting to. There's a difference between liking to write and wishing to become a writer. It was not there, but somehow it happened. And then Butterfingers came into the picture. Butterfingers was a character I created for Tinkle. It became hugely popular. But even when it became hugely popular, nobody knew I was writing the stories. You know, when you're reading comics or books, you just think that they get manufactured somehow. They don't think that actually some human being writing those stories. Recently I met, there was this IEEE meet in Kochi, where I met a lot of young engineers or final year engineering students or young professionals who told me, you gave us so much, we didn't know that you wrote Butterfingers. I said, who did you think wrote Butterfingers? We didn't know. Nobody thinks about it. It's only when you are writing a project that you realize that every book has a writer. Every book is published. There is something like publication details. There's a date, there's a place. So that is when you get to know all that. Otherwise, you enjoy the book. That is it worked fine for me because I was doing that. And while I was in college itself, how's that Butterfingers came? Because just to very briefly, I don't know how much time do I have. So, anyway, I won't take too long. I know how it is. I have attention span. I have taught. I know when to stop. Like somebody asked, how do you know when to stop when you are lecturing? So then this person said, when they start looking at their watches, I know it's time. But when someone takes the watch out and starts changing the battery, then I know that I have to immediately stop. So I look at your faces and I will know. But then you asked, so what do you do? I'll gauge. If you fall off the chair, I know this is time to stop. And so what happened with Butterfingers was when I was writing for Tinkle, it's a comic. So you have a long story written, and that long story is turned into a script. And the script, you have those rectangles or squares, those are called panels. All this general knowledge happened later. I had no idea what these are called. Then the speech balloons, speech bubbles, you call them. when you think it is dot 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 dot, when you speak it is chic. So all that. So when I first sent my story and it was turned into a comic strip, I was feeling I was heartbroken because my 2000, the first story I wrote 3000 words, they said it must be, and it was 2999. Actually sat and counted. And this exactly. And that became 8 pages of comic strip. I was thinking, where are my wonderful sentences? I wrote this, I wrote that. First I was really upset. Then I realized it's a different form altogether. It's a different medium. And it has, in a comic, what you need is quick action, fun. You don't want too much of text. Perfect for this generation. Where the attention span is less than that of a goldfish. So that's how it should be. But think of what the normal story that I write, the copyright is with me. The copyright for the comic strip is with, at that time it was India Book House, which became Amar Chitra. It is with Amar Chitra. So I thought, okay, let me think of getting these longer stories published. So once I got the hang of how to write for the comic, I didn't compromise on my writing style because already I got this vague idea that I could get these stories published in the longer version. And this was happening, and Butterfingers became very, very popular. And in 2008, I think, I approached Penguin. I sent as a submission my stories to Penguin. This is how you go about it, alright? You go to the website, they will tell you how to submit what you're writing. It's just to tell you, if you want to get published, how it works. Very difficult, but you get a break in. But luckily, that editor liked the stories because she said, the idea of this boy, it's a very simple idea, but she said it just speaks to the audience or the reader. A mischievous boy, but good-hearted, breaking things all the time, interested in cricket and football and basketball, not particularly interested in studies, but because he believes that to be first, second, third, there should be others at the bottom, right? So he and his friends will make those people who come later. And also wanting to help people, and he wants to help. Everyone says, please, thank you very much, no help. If you help, then it is disaster. And the part that is most taken by me, most drawn upon by Amar and his friends is the way to the principal's room. So that was, she liked the stories very much. So I got a letter, and I started reading. Not a letter, it was an email, and I started reading very happily, enjoyed it. You feel so good when you get all this praise. And then I saw that but, with one D, butting in, and I wondered what it was. And she said, but we don't, as a rule, publish short stories by one person. We publish anthologies, but not short story. So can you think of a novel? I never thought of a novel, other than the novels I like to read. I said, but the offer is coming from there. The offer is coming from Penguin. I can't say no. I said, okay, let me think. She said, you sent me a synopsis. I sent the synopsis. She liked it. The synopsis was of the first Butterfingers story that I wrote, which I thought had enough meat in it to be expanded. And she said, didn't stop there. Can you send me 2 chapters? Okay. Then I sat and wrote those 2 chapters. I said that to her. She said, all right. Now can you tell me what will go into subsequent chapters? I wrote that also, I said. And you know what she sent me in return? The contract. That was what I just couldn't believe. She sent me the contract for House at Butterfingers. Not House at Butterfingers, it was just untitled at that time. My title was in 6 months I was supposed to write. I wrote the story, and the title I thought was Oops, It's Butterfingers. Because oops is something that Butterfingers, it's his favorite word, alright? 2 favorite words. One is oops, the other is sorry. But she was very smart. Her name is Sudeshna Ghosh. She's now working for Speaking Tiger. And she said, it's a cricket-based book. Anyone who reads the title should know what is in it. So she was the one who came up with House at Butterfingers, which I thought was a wonderful title. Now that became successful, so that they thought of a series. So then goal Butterfingers, football. Third, I wanted tennis because I like tennis very much. And I started writing the story, and they said, no, we don't want tennis. We want another cricket book. Which was so challenging for me, because I've already written a cricket book. Same background, same characters, totally different book. So for me, Clean Bold Butterfingers, the third book, is very special, because I had to write, I had to think of a plot. It's completely different from House Act. Anyway, that happened, and after that came another. Then they felt, okay, we can take a chance with this one's short stories. You remember I approached her first with the short stories, and then came 3 collections of short stories, and the latest, which is inside the bag, Smash It. This is my latest book, Smash It Butterfingers. It's a badminton based, right? It's a novel again. So this is the 7th in the series, 7th going on. And yeah, we had quite a time about this cover. It was a pink cover. I said, I don't want pink. They said, no, we had enough of your blue covers. I said, not pink. They said, not blue. And finally, not that, this is anything to do with blue, but I thought this was okay. Someone said it is a BJP color. And someone else, more kindly, said it is like the Indian flag. Whatever it is a cover. And if you want to judge the book by the cover, you can. If you don't want, you don't need to. So that's what happened with Butterfingers. And then we had, meanwhile, Hindu asked me to write articles for the Metro Plus, humor column. And they gave me complete freedom to write anything. It should be personal, they said. It should be fun, but it should be about incidents that happen to you, but otherwise no interference. And I promptly put my husband in it. I put people like some friends, only those who won't get offended, and whatever happened around the house. And that also became popular. Then the readers told me, some of my students, some of them have this habit of, they like something, they cut it out and keep. So there's a man they're cutting it out and keeping, and it's all falling apart, and why don't you bring it out as a collection? And therefore, very loyally I approached Penguin again, because they were my publishers. And Penguin said again, I got a letter saying, nice things first. Again the but. And the but was, but there is no common theme running through the articles. I thought the common theme was me. It's all happening to me. Misadventures of an urban woman. Because I'm laughing at myself. There's plenty to laugh at. And that's what she said. And I was thinking, okay, so with great regret, they are turning. And I approached Westland Publications. They liked it. They took it on. But that publisher had one request, only one request. And that was, she said, you have to slot the articles under different heads. But now how do I slot them under different heads? And my editor very smartly said, you do it, you wrote it, you do it. And I sat for one whole day with all this. This is a selection, okay, there are another 50. You might get Aniji to come back. If Westland comes out in another card, whatever. Anyway, so then I sat there and yoking with violence together, I managed to move them like this, I managed. That's how Aniji happened. And you people had to study. Yes? I'm very sorry. I know it is. And I'll give you an incident. This happened to my husband. He's often in my book. I'm dragging him here also. Please don't tell him. He said when he was in Paligat, he had a friend who was in the bank, and this chap said, my sister has always been wanting to meet you. She says she wants to meet you. So my husband was wondering what she wanted to talk to him about. finally they met. When they came down to Trivandrum, they met. And the moment she saw him, she said, "Oh, I really have been waiting for this moment. I wanted to meet someone connected with." My husband is the grandson of one Masha. Okay, so she said, "I wanted to meet someone who's connected with this boy." So my husband thought, okay, now yes, some people gush. He's such a great boy. Then she said, "Oh, your grandfather gave me hell." It was terrible. Every year this poem would be published, would be prescribed. I couldn't understand it. How? We had to learn it by heart. We had to answer questions on it. And on top of that, teachers will ask us to recite it at competitions. It was terrible, interesting. I was keeping it all bottled up inside me. I want to let this out. And finally, I got the grandson. And this is, now I'm feeling much better. So similarly, if you have been out, with your knives to get me, you can tell me. Because I remember how house rat is also prescribed, right? So there was a college which had invited me about house rat, and then one boy came and told me, it's not often that you see the person, the author of something that you are studying. I got a little scared. I started looking out for exits. How can I escape? What is he going to do to me? But then it didn't turn out that way. I escaped with my life. But if you, and I know how it is, the best way to kill the love of any book is to prescribe it. You're studying only 2 articles. Actually, the chairman of the Board of Studies called me up and said they want an article for this collection because otherwise it's a very heavy collection. I think Amartya Sen is there, Romila Thakur, all these heavyweights are there. So they wanted one lightweight. So we want something light-hearted, fun, but it must be to do with technology. So technology, now I have not really written much about technology, and then I had written this Planet of the Apps. So I said, I have written one which you can relate to technology. I sent it to her. She said, it's nice, very nice, but always troubles me. And it's not long enough. The other pieces are long. So what do you do? And I said, okay. Again, I said, when I thought, okay, and then there is this oops and ouches of the computer age, where another article I had written. So I sent her that. But she said, but this is the same length. I said, yeah. She said, can you put them together? I said, okay. Again, I managed to put them together. Alright? And the result is living in the planet of the apps that you are studying. I hope you are not very angry with me. But my students who are here and there, they send me these howlers. So you are getting a lot of fun out of me. Okay? My name, Murdered in the Best of Times, is now all kinds of things when you are writing an answer. Crying to the road, 1K and some letters around it is my name. And then yesterday someone said that this was, what was it? Khyrunnisa. I don't know whether this person put the name, typed the name correctly. She sent it as a text message. She had a tear. She had a tear and she rotated. I think that rotator cuff tear, about that. She had a tear and she rotated. Her normal husband, which makes me abnormal, her normal husband said it was in the fork. Totally unrelated. Then someone wrote, I studied at Hazard University. And because I talk about how, not studied, I think I taught or studied, I don't know, studied. And because I wrote that, one of those exercises with this spider thing. So they made me a spider, my husband a cat. All kinds of things happen. I'm happy to entertain you, and you are entertaining your teachers by writing all this. So that is how it happened. And now I want to, I'm supposed to be inaugurating this, alright? So with great joy, and I will inaugurate the Literary and Debating Association, and I wish to do enjoyable. You're lucky people because you're studying what other people read for as recreation. When they want to de-stress themselves, they read books. You are studying them, of course, as I told you, that's the best way to kill your joy. But still, it is a nice thing that you're evaluating. And then this book has been tongue-in-cheek. It's a fun book, humorous book. And a lot of people during COVID, they told me, or not told me in the sense, I keep getting these messages, Instagram and all that, how it is a great, it has de-stressed them. It's a stress buster. Ironically, it is stressing me out now. Because Westland dropped this bombshell on 1st February saying Amazon is shutting down Westland. 2 of my books were brought out by Westland, tongue-in-cheek, which is doing very well, and Crocodile Who Ate Butter Chicken. Like somebody said, your book, Crocodile Who Ate Butterfingers. I said, no, don't allow Butterfingers to be eaten by crocodile. And that is these two. But what for me was extremely sad was that my next book for adults, my second book for adults, was being printed. It was with the printers, and the day before, the marketing team sent me a short video to announce the book on 15th February. It will come in all those things, and so my editor and I requested to small changes. They said they'd get back the next day, and next day I got this message from my editor saying she wants to talk to me. I said, okay, I thought it must be about the book. And then she said, this is what happened. And after that, I got a lot of messages about what happened to Westland. Suddenly, and they stopped printing. So my book is in limbo. I don't know what's going to happen. So we are hoping a third party. I got the formal letter the next day from the CEO and the publisher saying this is what has happened, unfortunate. But so by 28th February, sales of books stop. And on 31st March, if a third party does not buy the rights to the company ceases to exist. The rights will revert to the authors, and we can find our own publishers. So on not 31st August, sorry, 31st March. So if nobody buys, on 1st April, you will find about 350 authors in search of publishers. I think Virendra should be here to write about this. 6 characters in search of an author, and that is what could happen. So we are still living in hope, hoping that somebody buys this. 1 month is up, and we are just hearing that something could happen, Now time is running out. So within that period, if it doesn't happen, then some other publishers can take it on, because I think it could happen. But let's wait and see. If it does happen, then please don't tell me that you said your book is going to disappear. Now it has appeared. I hope you'll be happy that it has appeared if it does happen, right? So, and I also plan to buy 1 or 2 copies of my own book. I don't know if you've heard the story of a man who goes to a shop and then he asks the shop, it's a bookstore, and he says, asks him, do you have the books of a particular author? He asks. So all the books, we have all the books. I said, I want to copy each of everyone. So he takes them all, he packs, and he says, oh, you must be a great fan of the author. I said, no, I am the author. If I give you that. So that's what happened, and I think we can stop here, because there's going to be some reading.
Rashmi is already reading.
Yeah?
Rashmi is already reading.
She's waiting.
She's already reading.
She's already reading, okay. Yes. So I hope you enjoy the books, and I hope you, because they're all fun books, humorous books. I believe that you need something to laugh. Yes. Alright? Because I get so stressed out. What's the point in reading? No, you must read serious books also. The serious books, people will kill me if they hear me say this. But you also need humorous books. That's also why humorous books somehow, you find them a notch below the serious books. The serious books will tell you about the underbelly of like the seamy side of life, the dark side of life. They are the ones who walk away with all the awards. P.T. Woodhouse in his lifetime didn't get a single prize or award. Just before he died, they said, all right, don't sulk, we will make you a knight. So he became Sir P.T. Woodhouse. That's it. Wonderful books, right? I love him in his books. And I just enjoy his books. I started at the 8th standard, haven't stopped. Just love it. So that is how it is. And thank you very much for listening. So far, nobody fell off their chairs. Thank you for giving patient hearing. I'm really, really happy to be with you, and I wish this club, the association, huge success, and I wish each one of you all the best in your academic career and whatever you're going to do later in life. And let's hope we can put Corona behind us and throw away our masks at some point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that wonderful address. We sincerely hope that the crocodile will continue eating the butt. Now, let's listen to some delightful segments of the book, which is Tongue in Cheek. First, I would like to welcome Aisha Hilma from DC1 Communicative English for a reading the part. I made a slight mistake. Both of them are reading together. So,
a warm welcome to one and all present here. I am Aisha Hilma from DC1 Community English.
I'm Elfa, and I'm from DC1 English.
Today we would like to give you a small review on one of Khyrunnisa ma'am's book, Tongue in Cheek, The Funny Side of Life. It's a fun collection of short stories, or we could call them anecdotes. It contains 51 short stories, which is about the author in different situations. We as Keralites can not only relate to some of these, but also have experienced it. Seeing humor in everyday life is not something which is possible for everyone, but the author has achieved it. If you think that whatever which happens around us is boring, do pick up and read this. I'm sure you will be amazed by the humorous twist in the story. I suggest it as a great read.
From the troubles of having to lead an organic life to the woes of using autocorrect and spell checks, this book has it all. It's a fun read, and it has a little something for everyone. So do pick it up. Okay, and now we will be reading an excerpt from the book. It's a short story called Back to the Adventure.
What was special for breakfast? A friend asked my husband on the evening of Khyrunnisa.
Strange, asking about breakfast when all was all about lunch, but he probably believed in working his way to the most important meal. Dosas, my husband replied.
The friend looked disappointed. Just dosas? What about yesterday? He asked. So there was really no need for that sort of a cross-examination.
Dosas was the response. And in case you are curious about tomorrow, it's dosas again.
Yet again, you mean, the friend corrected, giving me that look I invariably receive when conversation runs along these lines.
It's a look I've begun to dread, one that speaks volumes, the gist of volumes being, what sort of a cook are you? Pushed to the defensive, I quickly offered an explanation. He says idlis make him hungry very quickly, puris are oily, appams are preferred for dinner, ditto with chapatis. So what does that mean? I asked.
Dosas, the friend responded mechanically. But what do you have with it? I'm sure the variety comes with the accompaniment.
Well, if one day it's dosas and chutney, the next day it's chutney and dosas. The day after it is dosas and...
Chutney again, the friend interrupted, getting into the spirit of the meal.
Yes, it is, I assented, imitating the quizmaster of BBC's Reign of Britain, a popular radio program, a watery reincarnation of the previous
chutney's finally getting over. The clever guy was spot on with another inspired guess.
Right again. The fourth day it is stew and dosas, and after that,
Dosas and stew, he interrupted. That leaves two more Ds.
dosas and sambar, and finally sambar and dosas. So everyone an example, of course.
Thank you.
At our home, it's Putter. Ma'am, if you'd like to add anything to that?
Okay. So this is what happened. Now you know how the look I get is you are you're a hopeless cook look, right? But what they don't know is that I'm actually a hopeful cook. I keep hoping my cooking gets better, or the people on whom I experiment, their taste buds get worse. Anyway, after that, what happens is about Onam Sadhya and how we bought the things which horrified this friend who did this cross-examination. What's for breakfast? What's yesterday's breakfast? What's tomorrow's breakfast? What is Tuesday's breakfast? If it is Tuesday, it must be doshas. And so that was what happened. And anyway, you read and find out. I don't want to spoil the fun by telling you what happens after that. One thing I will tell you is that somebody sat on the papadams.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me welcome Miss Minu Melvin, guest faculty, Department of English, to do a reading from the book Tongue in Cheek.
Respected Khyrunnisa ma'am, Sonia ma'am, Kuku ma'am, all my other colleagues and my dear students. So actually, Butterfingers is a character that I got to know first of it, or I first read it because I'm someone who read the Tinkle comic books. I am someone who grew up reading the Tinkle comic books. And as ma'am rightly said, whenever you read something, whenever you read a story, you never actually think about who is the one who is with the pen, who is penning all the stories. You only have some kind of, I used to always imagine I would have some figure, some shape of the writer. But I never gave much thought into who wrote it. And Butterfingers, the comic strip, ma'am said she was very, very disappointed when she wrote a long story and to have it condensed into very small strips. But I would say, ma'am, those strips that I read were extremely enjoyable. And Butterfingers, that comic part was something that I enjoyed reading. And later on, we had House at Butterfingers, which was prescribed for us for my degree. And when I read it also, I'm someone who enjoys reading comedy a lot because I don't think we need an actual explanation. It makes us happy. It kind of de-stresses us. And also, I remember it was kind of childish, but one of the characters is named Minu in Butterfingers. So, and my name is Minu, so I immediately kind of had another connection there. So,
First girl,
Yes.
then there's one more girl.
Yes.
Who I introduced, it's Reshmi, who belonged to the first class, 9th standard, Holy Angels. She was after me and put me in my book.
So I do not like my name because most people mispronounce it. My name is Minu. Either people say Minu or people say Minnu, but Minu is actually something. So when I saw M-I-N-U in the book, I felt very happy to finally see another kindred soul who had my name. So yes, I enjoyed reading that book, and I got to know that she is Khyrunnisa ma'am and all. And 2 days ago, when Sonia ma'am told us that there's going to be a reading session, and she gave me the book, and I very happily said I will do reading because I do love doing these kind of reading sessions and all. And I started the book on Wednesday afternoon. She gave me, and the very first story, that's the story that I'm going to be reading out. I was literally laughing out loud. And when I was reading, I placed my mask on my face because I have this habit, it's a very transparent thing, that whenever I read something or whenever I watch something, the emotions that I feel, they will be immediately reflected on my face. So when I'm reading a comedy, when I read something, I kind of forget that I am in a particular situation. I am immediately transported to another world. So when I started, the very first paragraph itself, I started laughing out loud. And I then put a mask, and day before yesterday, Wednesday afternoon, I started reading. I almost finished, just 2 or 3 stories are remaining. Yesterday, whatever free time I got yesterday, I was spent in reading. And every story is so delightful. Very, minute things, incidents that happen, and they are so, it's every day, very, very commonplace. But the way ma'am has added a humor, added a kind of observation to that is so wonderful. And when you read it itself, you fall. So ma'am, it is very, very delightful reading these stories. I'm not taking much any more of time. I'm going to begin reading. So the story that I'm going to be reading is the very first story in the book. Kulchas, Fulkas, Snakes and Chaps. So this book, this story, I think one of the reasons I connected with the story was because the incident that happened in the story, something of a similar kind has happened in my life also. So when I read the book, when you read the story, you will understand. When I was reading the story, it was so funnily written at the top that I could also remember that incident happened in my life. So I was laughing on kind of 2 dual lessons. So I'm going to start my day. Kulchas, Fulkas, Snakes and Chaps. Never say one thing while meaning another when you place an order in a restaurant. Or say it at your peril, as I found out the other day when my son Amar's friends took us out to dinner. Everyone turned to me for the main order, and suddenly nervous about making the key gastronomical decision, I stammered, "Kulchas," when I meant fulkas. Kulcha, for those unfamiliar with the dish, is leavened Indian flatbread made from maida or all-purpose flour. Excellent description, the all-purpose flour. For when kneaded into dough, it takes on the qualities of rubber, gum and glue with the least amount of fuss. Fulka, which is very close in spirit and texture to roti, is a more modest but healthier cousin of kulcha. It is unleavened flat bread made from wheat flour and generally dry and light. "How many?" asked the waiter. Blissfully unaware of my mistake and gaining in confidence, I said, 10. After all, in spite of all other dishes ordered, I was sure that five of us could easily manage 2 fluffy fulkas each. Actually, make that 12. I corrected myself, ordering an extra couple for the more ravenous amongst us. After placing the order, I felt a warm glow of satisfaction that comes from a job well done. The waiter raised his eyebrows at me and left. After the mandatory wait of half an hour, a waiter started bringing in some of the dishes we had ordered. He was followed by the one who had taken our order. This man didn't come in as much as staggering, his hands weighed down by the laden plates he was barely able to balance. He plumped them before me, and I was aghast to find the large plates heaped with giant kulchas gleaming wickedly with oil. Being rather thick and big, they had been halved, and that explained the 2 plates. 24 halves, each the size of 2 parathas combined. "But these are kulchas," I protested, pushing back my chair in my agitation and almost falling off it. "I ordered fulkas." "No, madam, you ordered kulchas." I turned disbelievingly to the others. "Did I?" "You did," 3 voices chorused. The 4th, that of my husband, was mute, for he had already begun tucking into the just arrived noodles. oblivious to all else. Never one to experiment with food, he orders noodles on all occasions unless it isn't on the menu. Thank you, I love reading. That's right. Some time was lost in clarifications, precious time as it turned out, for it helped the kulchas turn cold and limp. Anyone with the past experience of kulcha, naan or Kerala parota related sort know that they have to be eaten hot. I gamely took one as did the others. It felt like leather and behaved like elastic as I tugged and pulled with all my strength. And it tasted like rubber. As I chewed dutifully and laboriously, my jaws ached. Throwing table manners to the winds, I used both hands to tear off another piece. Someone quickly ordered chapatis as a chunk of kulcha rocketed to the next table. I appealed to Ajay, my son's friend, a strapping 6-footer with a gargantuan appetite. He is a trencher man who generally does the mopping up. He felt sorry for me and took 2 more halves, but the others gave him a wide berth. I hate the idea of food being wasted. So I asked for the rest of the kulchas, 18 halves in all, to be parceled. And thus began my kulcha race. Kulcha for breakfast, kulcha for lunch, kulcha for supper, and kulcha in between. 3 days later, Ajay called to ask what was for dinner. I asked him to take 3 guesses. Prompt came the reply, kulcha, kulcha, kulcha. Yes, 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 I responded. This was an error of my own making, but certain menu cards make delightful mistakes and offer you very diverting fare. I remember coming across sweat cakes under the heading Evening Snakes, which made me very curious about morning snakes. Another hotel offered a range of guptas. Vegetable gupta, paneer gupta, cauliflower gupta, among others. This forced me for a while. Could these be special dishes prepared using recipes carefully preserved from the golden age of the Guptas? But no, they were actually koftas. Then there were mutton chaps and finger chaps on offer. This wasn't blatant cannibalism at work. It was only very harmless. Not for the goat though. Mutton chops and finger chips. Gopi Manchurian and Aloo Gopis dance enticingly on the menus. Sad witches appear spellbinding. Meatless chicken sounds like a riddle waiting to be cracked, while biryani doesn't tempt. While eating out became so common, one should be on their guard, especially while choosing from such creative menus. I learned it the hard way. I'm off kulchas forever, but my jaws still ache. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me now welcome Ms. Samrafat, guest faculty, Department of English, to share her experience of teaching Living in the Planet of the Ants. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I guess it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm very happy to be here. I am sad that I never got the chance to be one of your students. I had the chance to be Sonia staring at me. Okay, so I think it's a circle that's very common in all things. You're a student here, then you become a teacher here.
We are giving back what we got.
And then you never escape this place. They call you back again even after you retire. But I've had the good fortune to listen to a couple of your talks, and the last time you were here belongings to the science and economics batches. So before I start, I have to say that I also identify as a Butterfingers. And to left feet also. So I'm dropping things and I'm dropping myself also all the time. I think like ma'am was saying before, like Kuku ma'am was saying before, during the book launches of Khyrunnisa ma'am's new novels, you have to see the kids being dragged by their parents to the cars. I used to be one of those kids. I used to have a ton of books in my suitcase whenever we went there. Even for a 2-day trip, my father used to ask me, you need 5 books when you're going to Kochi. I said, I don't know which one I might have to read. I might get tense choosing between them. But I think that has decreased a lot now. It's much more difficult to sit down and read something. And I have to thank the apps for that. Especially the social media apps have played a huge role in decreasing our not lifespan, our attention span, probably lifespan also. I think so. I'm so thankful for this story, this article to be included in the collection, because all the rest is heavy-duty stuff. I'm talking to the students about secularism and war and human rights and economic inequality. It's just a downer, to be honest. And this is like a breath of fresh air, which is something we all need more of. So I'm very happy to teach this chapter, and students are also very excited to talk about apps and all. So I talked to them about the applications that they use. And I think it's almost unanimous that the one app they spend most time on is Instagram, which I don't think is a good reflection of us as a generation. I'm also not proud of the fact that I also spend a lot of time on it. But generally, it is one app that will destroy your attention span. And it is, I can say that basically, there's a lot of good stuff on it. You learn about a lot of things. There's a lot of conversations about, gender and current, whatever's happening. All of that is there. But again, then you have these 15-second videos, which once you start watching them, you're stuck there for 2 hours. And it's even difficult to watch a movie after you've started with this thing. So applications, every sentence of that text calls for something to be explained, some incident to be recalled. And I've suggested a couple of apps that might be helpful for the students. I don't think any of them have installed any of those apps. And I think from the time you've written the article, the number of applications have accelerated so much, and the way we are using it also has accelerated so much. And this lesson also made me look into a bit of biology to understand what a rotator cuff was, and then the carpal tunnel syndromes and all of that. I had a vague idea, but then you can't bluff in class. Students are going to ask questions, especially when you're teaching zoology students. You can't just say, that's the rotator cuff, this is the tennis elbow. We have to be very clear about what it is. So, that is there. And, there are actually a couple of really good apps for literature students, especially there's a word game that's very popular today. Have you played Wordle? Yeah,
I think one letter.
Yeah, have to guess. It's basically a word guessing game which is very popular now, but that also the creator of the app had to sell it to New York Times. And they say that it's going to be a paid version of it pretty soon, which is what happens with our systems. And so everything now here is application based, right? Especially after the start of the pandemic, we've turned to apps for almost everything. And I was actually surprised to see a Google Pay scan QR code out there to buy the books. So if you don't have cash, you can use those apps. It's funny how Google Pay has completely invaded every aspect of life. I was in Bangalore last year, and you have these vendors in traffic junctions, right? They'll sell you bookcases or headphones or things like that, or even people who are begging for alms. So usually your excuse is change it. I don't have change. But now they just open their phones and they say you can scan here. Like, oh, you don't have an excuse anymore. So that is, I think it's a positive thing. Yeah. But the problem with apps today is that we also have to face a lot of advertisements. Every app that you use, you have to pay for it. You think these apps are free, but you're actually paying it by watching advertisements. And I'm pretty sure all of you who use Spotify know how annoying those ads are. I think they've taken it upon themselves to make the most annoying ads in history of yeah, basically threatening. Yeah, you have to take premium. It's so annoying. So yeah, I mean, it has been a very enjoyable experience teaching this chapter for 2 years. It's always a fun time when this chapter is being taught. So thank you so much for that, ma'am. And I can vouch for Minu. She was laughing for 2 days, 2 whole days. She sits right beside me, so she's laughing the whole time she was reading the book. So all the best, ma'am. I hope your next book gets published soon. It's sad that President had to go through the whole Islamic thing, but again, thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. As we are nearing the end of this amazing session, I would like to call upon the head of the Department of English, Dr. Surya J. Nair, to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. That makes me very emotional. So, before I begin with my vote of thanks, which signals the end of the function, I would like to mention that Khyrunnisa ma'am would like to stress on the fact that she would love for you to keep reading. She remembered later that she crucially forgot to mention that. So, please keep reading, not just her books, but any books. Okay. So, my introduction to Butterfingers was through Tinkle, and for a while I did not realize that ma'am was writing it, though we were in the same college at that time. So then later on, through a stray, I think, spate of fate, I noticed that how many people can be with the same name. So, that's when, and Butterfingers soon became a favorite of mine, and I would buy Tinkle only if there was Butterfingers. This was at the age of 26. But that's okay. But such is the reach of this book that I would like to mention at this point that Kuku ma'am, from the age of, whenever people are in class 5 or 4 or something, would read only works like the works of Fedor Dostoevsky, where everybody is depressed and it is always winter or night, and people literally hate each other. She only read those kind of books. But she has, I think, almost every book of Khyrunnisa ma'am's, the Butterfingers series and all, and she's a red there. She's not just bought it, she's a red there. Viji ma'am has a competition with me to see who will get the books first and who will get them signed faster. Well, because we passed by ma'am's house, once we get your house to get them signed. And we said, ha, Viji. So, yeah, that's the kind of, fan following she has. And, today when she came, I was very happy because, Kuku ma'am, it was her conceptualization that we have Khyrunnisa ma'am over to kind of bring you all over to the right side, which is the side of books and reading and get you oriented to the events and functions that are coming on ahead. And, I was very happy. And then she comes here and tells you that I am a mimic, and I said, why did I invite you? and then I come to know that you already know, and now I don't know how you know. This is making me very worried about what else you know. And yes, you did. That's a fun one. But Khyrunnisa ma'am has always been a very vibrant part of our college, and some of you I have taught that game to the other day. Yes, TDH and Damsharas, yes. So she was the one who, very, very beautifully took on those programs and, made a huge success of them. It came to a point where people never talked to each other. They just see each other, they make, and immediately they would go free out. That was how it was, right? We had people doing it in 5 seconds and so on. And, I would like to say that adding to the chapter that Minu was reading, there's also something called chicken and veg pups. Yes, so once I think we took a picture of this and sent to the papers and we got a prize. Yes, and there was also, Hindu used to have a competition that said if you take bloopers and send them. So we went to Big Bazaar once and Gugu said, oh look at that. And I took a picture of that. It was a board that said, ladies' bottoms. Like 199 rupees. And we gave a caption, bottom line. And I remember Khyrunnisa ma'am being one of the first to have seen that and called me up and congratulated. So all I did was take the photo at the right time. But yes, I could not have been happier, seeing this function take the shape that it has taken. We had some wonderful readers, and some wonderful responses. And I would like to thank each one of you for being here, for taking this effort, especially Khyrunnisa ma'am, who took time off her busy schedule, and she came here and she spoke about the books. Modern Book Center, who is actively promoting the book, and I would like to thank my colleagues, friends in the college, who are here in support, and all of you students who've been paying attention. Some of you I did see it drifting to the planet of the apps, but I didn't pass. And I hope that you will go out of this room, buy these books, because ma'am is here for some time. She will be signing it for you. So that will be really cool. And they also take Google Pay. So you're not escaping that. Okay. So anyway, thank you very, very much. Everybody who's been capturing us on camera, so I'm very careful what I'm saying. Rima, who's been such a wonderful MC. Rashmi ma'am, who's been taking pictures of us. Viji ma'am, who's just looking anxious. She has some secret reason. No, don't worry. It's fine. It's just because. So, and Kukuman, thank you for thinking of this event. Thank you for thinking. Alright, then thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And for anybody else I forgot to thank, I thank them. This has happened to me, but you were the only one who saw it for the stupidity and fun that it was. We had a candle lighting ceremony where the seniors are sent out with candles to light the fire, burn on fire. Burn the world out, kind of thing. So we given candles, and I was given the honor of thanking the college on behalf of the outgoing students. You remember that? It was unforgettable. So I thanked everybody. I thanked our electrician. I thanked the butterflies, the trains, the planes, and I sat down feeling very smug and everyone became very uncomfortable. I was like, what is wrong with that? The speech of the century and everything. I forgot to thank the teachers. And all the teachers gave me semi-dirty looks. But only Khyrunnisa ma'am, saw the funny side of the entire thing, which explains all these books. And I was telling Sandra the other day, don't let us down, because Khyrunnisa ma'am taught us, and then she said these are our products, not just me but many other products, and then we were like, we taught that. And then I about it, but anyway, I'm very happy. All of you have made us all proud. We have something to show. Thank you.
In conclusion, Khyrunnisa ma'am has just come here and exposed all of us, including teachers. Thank you, ma'am. Let me thank you all once again for being here and supporting this program. Our books are available at the store outside, and as Surya just said, we have GPay. Those who are in my class who did not have money, we have GPay. So do make a beeline for it, and do come back if you want your copy signed by the author herself. Thank you so much for being here.